What's up, Builders Club TV Nation? You got DeJuan Jones here, the professional stay-at-home dad, and I'm excited once again. Why am I excited, family? Because we got a phenomenal power couple with us tonight on the show. Entrepreneurs, business mentors, speakers. We got Dexter and Tonya Scott. They are the upgraders, ladies and gentlemen, family. Excited once again. Let me get myself on camera so I can speak to the family live and direct and tell you once again, as always, thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing the information about the show. Dexter, Tonya, can you hear me okay? I should get you on camera. There you go. What's going on, guys?
Hey family, what's up?
Awesome.
Hey, DeJuan, how you doing?
Doing great. We're excited, fired up to have you two on the show tonight. We've been watching you online, social media's popping. You're doing some crazy things out there in those internet streets, helping a lot of families, helping a lot of people just, widen and broaden their vision, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm so excited. Thank you for coming on to the Builders Club TV.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Excited to be here. Honored.
Awesome. So Dexter, Tonya, and it's going to be a lot of folks excited to see a couple. We've had a few couples on here. So when we get the opportunity to interview couples, it's always a great thing because, as you can imagine, there's a lot of couples out there building the dream, looking to establish the type of business that you two have been able to establish. So this is going to be great. So if you've seen the show a little bit, guys, you know that we like to throw our guests into the Builders Club TV time machine, and we like to take the family back a little further back into your history, because we've learned there's so much to uncover in terms of how you became successful just by looking into your past. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Yeah, you got it, man. You hit the nail on the head.
Awesome. Well, let's hop to it, man. If you will, let's jump into this time machine and let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Tell the Builders Club TV, what was life like before? What was life like for Dexter and Tonya Scott before you discovered this industry?
Oh, good Lord. How far you want to go back, Tonya?
Okay, I know time travel. Let's do this thing. I don't know. Let's go back to,
How did you meet? Tell us that. Don't let me need that.
Now you really went back on this. I'm like, go back to the industry. All right, cool. Come on.
All right, so this is, man, our story is really incredible. Okay. So I was a former loan officer at a bank. Oh. Now, Tonya came in, and Tonya married her college sweetheart. I married my college sweetheart.
Oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, it's really, it takes a turn, but it's really good. So Tonya comes into the bank, and she needs a loan, and I'm like, okay, well, let me work this loan out, right? And you know how men are. We just kind of get to the point. I might miss a few things, but you gonna hit me out. Okay. So anyway, so I approved the loan. So now at that time, my marriage was just on the rocks. I mean, it was just a horrible situation. Right. And here I am putting the face on. And I'm the loan officer with the face. Right. And I'm loaning people money. So anyway, Tonya comes in. She gets a loan. We approved. I think we approved the first loan, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then her husband got sick, and she came back in for a loan deferment. Right. And I found out about it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's get this loan deferred. I went to my boss. We got the loan deferred. So ultimately what happened is Tonya's husband ended up passing away from a brain tumor. Unfortunately, that's what happened there. Yeah. My marriage was just in shambles anyway. So I had a divorce that happened. So anyway, and I'm telling you, man, this was just such a powerful moment. I found out about Tonya's husband passing away. So I went and pulled her number out of the loan files to call to say, hey, how are things going? And I didn't hear from you. Yeah, because she was going through that turbulent time.
Wow, and I don't even know that.
Yeah, I pulled your number from the file because I heard about it. Now, here's how I heard about it. I heard about it because my fraternity brother, I'm an alpha baby, yeah. Anyway, my fraternity brother lived in the same neighborhood. Right. So when the ambulance came into the neighborhood on that day he passed away, my frat brother, we worked together. He said something was going on at Tonya's house. The ambulance was there. So that's why I called. So anyway,
Well, yeah, and to take it back, as he stated, when I went in for the loan, but he had pictures on his desk and everything, and I can remember talking to him about the baby and all of that. Yeah. So honestly, when he talks about having the face on, the face really was on. All I thought was he's happily married, I'm happily married, and so forth. And the thing I want to say to add into some of what he's talking about is there was no quote unquote attraction. I mean, he wasn't looking at me in any kind of way. I wasn't looking at him in any kind of way. Wow. It was Dexter. Now, to fit in a little bit more of the pieces, he's right. My husband took ill. So here I am now dealing with my husband living with brain cancer. Right. And I have to take care of him. So here I am working. I work for the government. At the time, and I really don't have enough money to do what I need to do to even care for him. You know, I'm 27, 28 years old at the time, and you know, here I am living with my husband. How do I get someone to come home and care for him? I had to hire someone. How do I pay for this? I don't have the income to do that. What did we do? My family, we came together. We sold fish and chicken plates. And I remember contacting Dexter and said, hey, would you all order a plate as well? And he went to bat, and he began to get orders for me at the bank, and they bought. That was just one of the ways and some of the things that we did to help pay the lady to care for him while I still went to work. I was able to move from an apartment complex into a house during the process of Ron being ill. Right. I don't know what it did, but I contacted him. And this is so amazing because though there's nothing there, I just remembered, I'm like, maybe Dexter can help me. I contacted him to see if he could help me move from one place to another. He did. He rented the U-Haul. Him and the friend got together. They came, they moved furniture from my apartment into my house. He didn't charge me anything, nothing.
Dex, you didn't
and
know,
they did that. So that
Dex, you sure you didn't know what you was doing, Dex?
I married you.
No, actually I did, and my friend is, you know, my fraternity brother helped me move, so it's like, wow. Look, I rented the U-Haul, we moved them, done deal. Because remember, I'm at the desk with this face on, but it's just like, man, my home life is in shambles. Go figure.
And so just to fast forward, we're home. I have my mom and dad were there, my daughter, family, and we're watching Sister Act. And my doorbell rings. And earlier that day, the doctors had said something to me about oxygen may be needed. So when my doorbell rings that night, I go to it and it's EMS. And I said, oh, the oxygen. And they said, no, we got a call for code blue. And I said, yeah. And I took off running and I went to the back room and I found my father and my late husband's father over him, trying to bring him back, and they're just pumping. And when I looked in the room and saw that, I gasped again and shot out the door. And I just went running through the neighborhood, quoting scripture, and until I collapsed in the middle of the road in tears that I had just lost my college sweetheart. I'm 29 years old, and now I am a widow. What do I do? And so it's me and our little girl, and we going on with life, and now he pulls the foul, and that's when he contacts me, and I recognize his voice, and it's like, hey, how you doing? You know? Well, actually, you saying you pulled the foul, I didn't answer, but he contacted me after that, and we're talking. I recognize his voice. I'm like, how you doing? And as we're just chatting away, and then finally I said, well, let's go out. Let's go to dinner or something. Let's just catch up, because again, this is good old Dexter.
I'm the dude.
You know, he saw plates. He did the U-Haul. He gave me the loan. He's just a really cool guy, you know, kind of thing. And while we're at dinner that night, Dexter tells now, and he talks about while we're sitting there eating. Well, here's the thing. He comes to pick me up, and he says, when I walked out the bedroom into the living area and he saw me, he saw something different. And it was like, Tonya, you know, and I still saw it's Dexter, so I grabbed magazines. I'm gonna read
Spiegel magazines, Eddie
Bauer. That's who I was into then, and I was gonna look through the magazines while we were just talking. But he walks over and opens the door for me, and I'm thinking like, He opens the door and we get on in, and it was a really good evening. And while we were eating dinner that night, he says he literally heard the Lord basically tell him, he says, this is your wife.
I really did.
So while he and God are over there having a conversation, I'm eating chicken wings. So I didn't know all of that, but and hey, to here we are now, 18 years later, happily married, and I'm so grateful to God for him, because he is an incredible.
Well, thank you, Tonya.
You're awesome.
I appreciate that.
You're an incredible man, and I love you.
We're gonna need a book, a movie, or something, because that was just Netflix worthy. That was amazing. And I think we need to take notes on that story. That's incredible. Man, big ups to you, Dex, for seizing the opportunity and also being an angel at the same time and really coming forward, man. That's amazing. Beautiful. So
what's interesting, Dewan, to say this really quickly, is that now, mind you, I've gone through a just terrible situation.
Yeah.
My marriage is just crumbling. I have no intention of dating anybody, because I'm like, I need to be free.
Right.
And for us to be sitting there that night and I hear God say, this is your wife, I'm like, I had a chicken wing in my mouth. Like,
right. But you listen, and I think that's the most important thing to point out, is that you listen to something that was telling you to be here for this woman. You listen to something. There was something in you, some type of voice came to you and said, just be here for this woman, and that's what you did. That's what I mean by you seized that opportunity, and you were an angel at the same time. And that's why we need a book. We need the movie to break this down. So, this is like, I should have got my popcorn. Y'all didn't tell me it was going to be this. So let's keep it moving forward. Tell us exactly, based on those events occurring, how did you guys start to like pull closer to each other?
Wow. I mean, I just think that, because I grew up, I grew up in a 2-parent household. Mm-hmm. So not that my mom and dad didn't have any, issues, because they did. Mm-hmm. And Tonya did also. Yeah. But one of the things that I wanted to do, I always wanted to be married.
Right.
Because I consider myself to be the marrying type. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are just certain things that there's a quality of marriage.
Me too.
I look for.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just like, and it took a while. And you're right. This is a Netflix show. This is a show, because it took a while for Tonya to let me in.
Right.
Now, that's a whole nother story.
It is. And that's why I'm like, you're asking some incredible questions. And there's some things that we've even gone live about at times and shared. One of the things that Dexter and I get often from so many people now is that, and we didn't really realize it, because all we were doing was living. We were married. Mm-hmm. We weren't trying to be, we were just being. And see, that's a whole nother conversation right there too. Yeah. But one of the things that we found, a lot of people would just we realized that they were comment so much and talk with us so much about the marriage, what they saw, which is why I give him so much honor, because even as a woman, and for my sisters out there, one thing I can tell you is that sisters do pay attention to how that man treats the woman, because there's such a desire and a need that we have as women for that type of attention. There's a need and a desire that we have to really be loved and to really feel like, he sees no one outside of you. You are it. And they recognize that. But here I am, a widow at the age of 29. Mm-hmm. He comes into my life in this way. I'm not expecting it. Right. What in the world are we going to do? What? Marry? Really? But I do have these feelings. God, is this really right? Mm-hmm. There was a shame that I felt. There was even a guilt that I felt. Why? I'm a widow. I have a little girl. Right. Am I really supposed to be falling in love again so quickly after my husband's passing away? Mm-hmm. He dies in 1999, and here we are dating in now 2000. Mm-hmm. And now you ask me to marry you. At the end of the year, close to the top, and now in 2001, we're getting ready to get married again. I don't even think I've ever dropped those dates before, but we're about to do this again, and I felt bad. So even though I said yes, I said yes with my mouth, but I didn't say yes with all of my behavior. I was still very closed. I'm trying to be. When you don't talk, there's so many things that can happen with you in your life, and when you keep it on the inside and it's internal and you never expose a thing, that's when it can run rampant in your life and also have control. So one of the things I say to people often is exposure brings closure. And it wasn't until I began to expose those feelings, it wasn't until I was able to even come to a place of being honest with myself and being honest with him, that I was able to break down those walls that I had put up to allow him to really be the husband in my life that he was so desperately wanting and trying to be. And then I became the wife to him that I desired to be as well. But it took me really coming to a place of letting go and knowing that it was okay. That it was okay to fall in love, that it was okay to be loved, that it was okay to love again. You know, and sometimes a lot of people don't know that, and that's something that we went through.
Wow. This is great. Let's fast forward just a little bit, because I'm interested to find out, you know, because they're gonna have to go watch the Netflix movie, right, to get the full love story. Y'all gonna have to wait for the Netflix movie. But I want to fast forward just a little bit and kind of figure out, when did you venture into the business mindset in terms of being together? Because we do know that being married and in business is a different dynamic. So making that work is a science within itself, right? So when did you guys start to gravitate towards the business, journey together?
Right. Yeah. So Tonya was already in a direct sales company when we met. So she had her business. Okay. Then she had a direct sales company that she was working. So, and that's the income that I used to qualify her loan. Isn't that something? Right. Wow. So I used the two incomes. But yeah, now I know a lot of the guys, you guys watching, if you're working a job and your potential is under the ceiling and you're looking up and you just can't get through it, your day is just ineffective. Well, what was happening, I'm like, man, there's something more for me to do. There's something more for me to do. So Tonya and I, we got our home refinanced, and the appraiser came to the house and he brought his daughter. She was probably 3 years old. And I'm like, man, this guy he's an appraiser. He's working his business, and he had his daughter with him. And I said, man, how did you become an appraiser? He started talking to me, and I said, I'm doing it. So at that time, I got into classwork to become a real estate appraiser. I was going for the commercial appraisal. So I got the residential, right? And I'm like, I'm going into business for myself. So what happened was around 2008. Yeah, 2008. I had a coworker tell me I had $28,000 in my retirement. And I asked her a question. I said, Cameron, what do you think I should do? Should I pull my money out and go after my dreams, or what? She said, you're not going to get that retirement money until you're much older. Go for it. Look, left the job, pulled the money out, started appraising. And the moment I started my business, the real estate industry crashed. Wow. And boom, everything bottomed out. So if you have entrepreneurial mindset and you want to go after it, just know that it is a process. So that's what happened. That's literally what happened. Tonya's working, I'm appraising, it crashes, and I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So that's kind of the intro into it.
It is. When my late husband took ill, that's when I walked away from the industry, or the company that I was with at the time, and the industry altogether. Now here we are, fast forwarding, we're married, and like you said, the appraisal started that crash, but then we're also brought another opportunity. So we take hold of it. And it's in the network marketing industry. So I gave it another try, and I can remember sitting there listening and watching and just kind of wondering, can I do this? Will it work? Well, in 4 months, we earned 6 figures. I had never earned 6 figures before. The job that I was working at the time, I wasn't even, I think I had just hit $50,000 a year. And that's after being there for several years, almost probably about 8, 9, 10 years that I had been there before I finally hit 50K. But in 4 months, I've earned 6 figures. It was like, whoa. Right. So again, process. And what I ended up doing was transitioning. I actually left Wake County government to do this full time, only to have that direct sales industry, as fast as it went up, is as fast as it came down. And it was just like, oh my gosh. So now what situation did we find ourselves in?
Wow.
We foreclosed on our home, and our car was repossessed, and we ended up filing bankruptcy. It was horrible. It felt so bad. Wow. You know, Dexter talks about the story of, you know, contacting them and having them to really meet us. We didn't want people to come to our house and pick up our van, so we met them in a parking lot in a neighboring town.
In a Walmart
parking lot. That's and exactly they came and picked it up. And he talks about now how he did try not to show me, but even in that moment, the tears and just the emotion that he felt
welling up on the inside
as a father and as a husband, and feeling like, have I failed? But we pressed and we kept going. For me at the time, I pretty much walked away from everything. I went through a process of just like, you know what, forget all of this. It's not worth it. I came to a place of doubting myself quite a bit. And that kind of brings us back into even in marriage, because he found himself really going into a place of like, I want more. I want more knowledge. I want to grow. I want the transformation of the mind. I'm coming to realize how incredible it is. While on the other hand, his better half, you know, is over here saying, no, I'm afraid, I was scared. And I didn't, and honestly, to be perfectly honest, it was a matter of feeling like this isn't something that you should want, and this isn't something that you should have. That's why it was all taken away. You got your focus on the wrong thing, Tonya. You got your focus on something else. You're thinking too much about making money. You're thinking too much about having wealth. You're thinking, so you better get somewhere and sit down, girl, pick up the word, read the Bible, get your life together. And I started hearing things like that. And there was counsel honestly coming to me in that way, and it scared me, and I went into a hole, and that's where I stayed for years.
Can I ask you because in the midst of going through all of that, you know, turmoil, some would say turmoil, some would say lessons, right? But in the midst of going through all of that, can we ask you, what was the relationship like? Because we do know that plays a role in terms of how you go about conducting business, because we know if the house ain't together, it's hard to keep the business together. So how did you keep the relationship together in spite of?
That's good. You know, like I can recall the first direct sales company that Tonya was in, right? So when that stopped, then we started the other one. And what's interesting, I would just watch Tonya, and Tonya would be up presenting in front of the room. And I said, you know what? Let me join her and do my contribution. So what I would start to do was just set up everything for her, right? And then I'm sitting in the back of the room, and I'm watching her at the front of the room, dynamic presenter. I mean, she's just dropping knowledge. I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and start learning about the products and the services also. So I did that. So then we started presenting together. So the thing about that is I watched her leading the way, and I was perfectly okay assisting her, but I was also okay being in the background. And that's one thing that we speak, the strength of our marriage is I'm okay being in the background and pushing my wife forward. Because they say when somebody compliments a wife, they compliment the husband also. So when I see Tonya standing up on stage and she's talking in front of 3,000 people, I can sit out there in the audience and be like, yeah, I love it. Because see, I know who I am.
Right.
And that's very important. I know who I am. I know what I can bring, but I know what she can bring too. So I support that and I push that. So we call it, one of the things that we do when Tonya and I have done some trainings, and we've spoken at events about our marriage, and we call it the seesaw effect. You know how a seesaw, if one side is teetering up, the other one is down, and then it goes back and forth. Well, when Tonya's up, I don't consider myself down, but I'm supporting her. And then when it comes here, she's supporting me. So we have that kind of that seesaw effect thing going on, and it works perfectly. When she's here, even now, when Tonya's on a call or she's doing even a Zoom or a live, I could be in the kitchen washing dishes. Just the other day I was washing dishes, or I'm cooking. So we do that. And here's one of the things, men, if you want to get on your wife's good side,
come on with it.
There are two things you need to do.
Okay.
Every single night, she gets turned down service. We make the bed in the morning, At night, I go back to the bedroom and I turn the covers down for her. I remove the pillows and off the bed, because when she comes back, all she needs to do is be able to get in the bed. Now, this is no exaggeration. This has been going on for years. And when Tonya, I pull the car out. We have a courtyard. I pull the car out. When she comes out, I open the door for her. Nobody sees that, but that's the strength of our marriage. And I'm proud to be able to do that for her, because she works very hard. And with our children, we have 4 beautiful children. We have 2 that are in middle school. Hey, when they need to be taken somewhere, I'm the one doing it. I'm the one running around, because she's busy. And when we're not busy, she's busy. So it's just that seesaw.
It is seesaw. It's a balance in everything. Even to when you were asking that period that we went through, it was a strain on our marriage, because I wasn't at the level that he was on. But he did keep going. So one thing that I will say is he didn't stop and give up. I could have had such an influence on my husband for him to step back, opposed to continuing on and pulling me forward. Now, mind you, he would have loved to have pulled me up faster, but I was resisting a lot. So it was a gradual pull, but he continued to love me. He continued to respect me. He continued to be there, and it was very stressful. I know for him. It was stressful even for our relationship, but nonetheless, Dexter did not give up. Dexter kept learning. Dexter is prayer, is covering me, is all of that. Meanwhile, for me, I had to come out of that hole. I remember going through, we were at a conference before, and we heard this speaker. He's also, I think he's a bishop himself, but he was talking and he talked about their relationship. But one of the things that he said that always stuck with me, it stuck with both of us, is he says, husbands, he said, you're going to have to know how to love those insecurities out of your wife. Now, it doesn't mean that men aren't ever insecure, and it doesn't mean there's some women who are really strong and confident, but honestly, we're the ones that are typically most emotional. We're the ones who typically will hold on to things a lot more than men would even do. We're the ones who would talk ourselves out of things, I think a lot of times a lot faster than even men would do. So for him to say to us, you have to know how to love those insecurities out. That's basically what he did. I always found reasons as to why not. And this gets into much of what we teach and coach on now. We're the upgraders. So what we want to do is we want to upgrade you in every aspect of your life. We want you to know how valuable you are. We want you to know how God's created being, and how he created you it was basically, we were made in his image. Well, what are we saying? We're saying that you have abilities to do things. You have abilities to create. You have the ability to soar. That's what we have. Oftentimes people don't know what they walk in. They don't know the power that they have. They don't understand how valuable they are. And we oftentimes take our life's experiences, and those are the things that govern our way. But when you come to a place of really understanding who you are, the transformation of the mind, the renewal of the mind, that's when transformation takes place. My favorite book, it says that renew the mind, the transformation will take place. That's what you have to do. So one of the things I can say, you might want to speak to this a little bit, Bae, is even one thing we've learned, we call it art, because there are 3 ways that could happen in your life. There are 3 things that can happen, and they do happen in all of our lives. And those things make an impression upon you, and it gets lodged into the subconscious mind. So now that it's in your subconscious mind, it actually governs your behavior a whole lot more. Why? Because you do things without thinking. I can offer you something, but because of some effect that you've had or experiences that you've had throughout your life, your immediate answer would be no. You could be so excited about what you're hearing, but all of a sudden that subconscious thought comes up and grabs it back. Why? Because you've already been conditioned in a way to tell you that this is so, and it's what's comfortable. So when people say, gotta come out the comfort zone, we know we do, but it's not an easy thing to do. Why? It's subconsciously lodged in the mind. So it's 3 things. If you want us to talk about it briefly, it's art.
Totally let me go on.
Come on with it.
Okay. All right.
So, with it.
And we learned this information from one of our mentors, a credible gentleman by the name of Jim. But the subconscious mind is affected in 3 ways. That's authoritative figure, repetition, and traumatic experience. So think about it for just a moment. If an adult, even if it's a teacher, tells a child in elementary school, you're no good. You don't need to do that. You're no good in math. You don't need to be a mathematician. Whatever is said, that child is going to take that information. And as they grow up and get older, and they wonder why, man, I just don't like math. I'm not good at math. And we never ask ourselves, where did that come from? It came from that authoritative figure that spoke that in an impressive time of that child's life, and it lodged into the subconscious mind. So the behaviors that adult is having is because of what was spoken back then. Repetition. Wow. Repetition is the mother of all learning. When you repeatedly do something, right, it drives it down, just like a nail. If you take a nail and you take a hammer, repetition, boom, 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 boom. Well, if a child is always told, you're just like your dad, you're no good, or you're just like your mom, you never go no good. They keep saying these kinds of things. Well, what happens is it lodges inside of that child's subconscious mind, and it cannot be removed unless it's done by a professional. And that's what we do. The last one is traumatic experience. See, I can tell you right now, Tonya can tell you right now, as she did, when EMS came to that door and rung the doorbell, and she showed up and said, "Oh, oxygen?" And they said, "No, we got a code, what was it?
Code blue.
Code blue." The reason that she can tell you that vividly is because that was a traumatic experience that is lodged in her subconscious mind. And I can tell you times that I grew up, things that happened to me that's lodged in my subconscious. Now, if it was keeping me from being successful, then I got to figure out a way to get rid of that, to uproot that blockage so that I can move on. So these are all the kinds of things that even as entrepreneurs, even Tonya and I, we deal with that on a daily basis. And all of the entrepreneurs that are watching right now, you deal with it too. Yeah. You go through things and you're like, man, why can't I get that extra business partner? Why can't I go out and just talk to people? I'm afraid to talk to people. Well, why is that?
Why am I so afraid of a no? What is it about no's? How is it that I continue to talk myself out of things? Why is it that I know what it is that I want, and I hear them talk about goals, and I hear all these wonderful things, and I continue to go to one training after another, but I can't ever seem to move? There always seems to be a blockage. Why? And oftentimes it's just simply because of those things that's lodged into our mind. And I'll say it this way. I said it earlier to even another team member of ours. What it is that we do in this industry isn't hard. It's not what we do, it's that you do. Everybody can talk to someone. Everybody knows how to pick up a phone, dial a number, and have a conversation. Everybody knows how to sit up there and do the goals, walk out and warm chatter, pass out cards. I'll hear things about branding myself. So it's not so much as I don't know what to do, it's that I do it. And why won't I do it? What's keeping me from doing it? What's making me so afraid? And it's those types of things. I want to give you an idea. Even when we talk about repetition, I really want to bring it home for you in understanding that, to give you an example as to how we all live this way, down to, and I used it last night in one of the trainings that we did, down to driving in our vehicle. When we get in, the gear shift is up here. We put it in the gear by pulling it down. We do it so much. We do it without thinking. How many of you look down at the thing and say, where is it, to grab it? Right. You don't. You just grab it. Because you're so conditioned. It's been repetitive. I know what to do. I can do it without thinking. That's good. I got in my mother's car to drive her. Well, hers is right here in the middle. But when I got in, I turned it and I went up and I'm like, oh, wait, what? Because I did it without thinking. Because when you drive, there's a way to do it. And it just comes without thought. So we teach these types of things to learn how to use the conscious mind as well, because when you consciously do things, then that's when you're able to really see a lot of manifestations come up in your life, because you're more mindful of it. And then to begin to identify blockages, we know them as programs. You're programmed. We had a young lady we were working with, and for her, we're talking things through, and she's just trying to figure out, I don't know, it's just something. And even today, I don't like to take things back to the store. I buy things I don't really want it, but I get it anyway. And then when I get it home, I don't return it. So I've got bags of things in my home, and we're just talking. Well, lo and behold, as she's talking, she's like, I just remember, I don't know. She says, well, I grew up, and then growing up, I'm working like 16, 17. I'm in the store, and the store is closing, and people are going. It used to bother me so bad when people would just, not put things back the way they found it, and they're spending all this time and they're not getting anything, and they just keep. She said, oh my God. And it was, I'm just there, we're listening. She said, oh my God, that's it. What had happened subconsciously, and you got to understand it's emotion, because anything that you bring an emotion to, there's an attachment that comes to it even the more. So subconsciously, emotionally, she was frustrated. I'm here working this late at night. People keep coming in here. They get stuff. They don't put it back where they're supposed to. Why don't they just do that? Oh my God, now they bringing all this stuff back. They bought all this stuff, and now I got to ring this. It got to her so bad that now that she's grown, she's like, well, I don't want to be in here and not buy anything, not realizing that subconsciously she's trying to just help out the person that's working there.
That's right.
Not realizing that subconsciously, I just don't want to take anything back because of what I went through. But guess what she's doing now? Because see, we cleared that program from her subconscious mind. So guess what she's doing now? She's taking the stuff back. Guess what else she's doing? She's not buying what she doesn't want necessarily. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because and I go back to when I said to you earlier, there's a power that we have. There's abilities that we have. Because of our mind, I can transform it. There's a paradigm shift that can take place. I can come to understand who I am better so that I can walk out who it is that I am in this lifetime. And that's why as an upgraders, we say, we may not know you,
but we know what's in you.
The upgraders. Well, y'all go ahead and give out your social media website or anything like that. The family can get in touch if they'd like to.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tonya and I, it's pretty much the same on everything. It's Dexter L. Scott on Facebook and on Twitter. It's the same for you, Tonya Scott. Yeah, on Facebook and Twitter. And, just for your guests, you guys that are watching, listen, one of the things that we do know as entrepreneurs, but as mindset development coaches, we're certified in the subconscious release technique. We are literally able, in a 5-minute conversation, Tonya and I we can begin to hear programs that's blocking your success. And we do free 30-minute sessions, one-on-one private sessions. We give you all the information ahead of time to tell you to get ready for the session, because we know it's going to be absolutely incredible. Now, in order to have a session with us, we want you to go to srtglobalcoaches.com, srtglobalcoaches.com. You're going to go to this site. You can scroll down, find our bio, and you can get on our calendar. And what's going to happen is we'll get the message, and then we're going to connect with you, make sure that timing is good, and we're going to set up your session. Now, there's a people called the Jesuits, and they used to say, give me a child until he's 4, and I'll show you the man. Now, so think about that. The first 4 years of life, you're conditioned and you're programmed. Your subconscious mind is just open, right? Everything you hear is lodged. So what happens is up until the age of 19, 95% of who you are has already been formed. After 19, it's just a repetition of what you learned in the beginning of life. So what happens is, just as Tonya used that example, what if, let's look at this. We said we've been married for 18 years.
Right.
Tonya didn't literally give herself to me until what? How many years later? As far as open yourself up to me, to allow me to love you.
Be careful now.
No, it's a long time.
Yeah, let's say 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's just say 10 years that I didn't really get all of Tonya, the way her heart, her mind, her talking to me as her best friend. So let's think about that.
Right.
So why didn't she give herself to me? It was because of what she was dealing with subconsciously. and what she thought people would say. The fear of giving herself to me. So it took 10 years for her to do that. Yeah, caring what people think. Tonya and I are able, like I said, to figure out what happened early on in life. And we can pull that out of your subconscious mind, literally. And then we can begin to fill that void place in your subconscious with what it is that you do want. Alvin Toffler says the illiterate of the 21st century, it won't be those who can't read or write. It will be those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. So as the upgraders, we're introducing everybody that we come in contact with, one-on-one or even organizations. We're teaching them how to relearn the things that they need to know in order to be successful. So I think I covered it all. info@yourupgradeteam.com is our email. If you guys want to shoot us an email, hey, we're available to just help people to just be successful and in life, period.
Wow. Powerful stuff, guys. The upgraders, man, this has been phenomenal. I have literally been upgraded myself just in this interview. You guys delivered some very powerful information, and we definitely got to have you back. That's for sure. And I think before we cut the camera on, I was telling you a little bit about the series we're working on. It's called A Day in the Life. And the family knows about it. Everyone's excited about it. We're working on it right now, and it's basically the lifestyles of the rich and famous for the network marketing industry. But really, what it is, it's lifestyle meets personal development, where we cut the camera on and we just show the lifestyle, but we get the opportunity to get more of those nuggets from you, get more of that information, that inspiration from you. So it's inspiration, motivation, and belief. And so we definitely got to have you guys back for that series. But before we let you go, guys, we've been playing a game with our guests, and they've been absolutely loving it and knocking it out the park. So I'm excited to see what you guys are going to do with it. It's pretty simple. We call it a word of advice with a mentor. A word of advice with a mentor. And basically how the game works is I'm going to shoot a few words at you, and you're going to give me back, or give the family back, a word of advice using that word. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Absolutely. So you guys probably can go back and forth or feed off each other, but I'm going to shoot some words at you, and you'll give us a word of advice using that word. So you ready to play?
Ooh.
Let's go. You ready to?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hey, let's go.
This is straight bars off the top of the dome. You got to come with it. You ready? No pressure. But here we go with the first word, guys. The first word we got for you is earn.
Earn.
Yeah, earn. You got to learn before you earn.
Yeah, learn before you earn.
There you go. I'll take it. The next word we got for you is process.
You got one?
Well, the process that you go through is really more valuable than the end result.
The next word we got for you is, y'all should kill this one, marriage.
Well, I just made a post on last night that marriage is not just love, but it's also friendship. So in order for you to have a really successful marriage is to really be friends.
Bars. The next word, or the last word we have for you, the very final word is growth.
Oh, growth. Oh, you must have a growth mindset, period. Tonya and I would talk about a fixed and a growth mindset. A growth mindset says, you know what? I didn't get it right this time, but that's okay. I'm going to do what's required to keep growing. As long as you keep growing, then you're good. Because see, once you stop growing, you start declining.
Yeah. A growth mindset sees the good really in everything, regardless of what happens in life, regardless of the things that, may even come your way. The way that you look at it with a growth mindset, you always look for really the silver lining, because it's always there.
Wow. Well, I have enjoyed you guys. You totally smashed the game. I feel like my wife and I have to hang out with you guys because you guys are phenomenal. So I definitely got to have you back. I'm going to hunt you down and keep you to your word to it, because I got to have you back on the show. I know the family's going to absolutely love the value that you had to share. So thank you for coming on to the Builders Club TV, and we're going to have you back, of course. Builders Club TV family, until next time, Dexter and Tonya Scott, they go by the Upgraders. Peace.